lightsabers hum, they light up the night. Pete and Nick keep the galaxy bright. From Tatooine sands to indoor trees, they're bringing the news with galactic ease. ATGLive, we're blasting away.
What's up, kiddos? No, I'm not Clinton Yates, nor am I Nick or Pete. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. We're in the honor of Around the Horn ending. We're going to have a version of the show where we have Clinton Yates, a couple other panelists for you. If you've never seen the show, I feel bad for you. So with no further ado, here are our panelists. Or not.
Hi.
Hey, hi, Clinton.
How
are you doing?
I wore my Scarif sweatshirt.
Oh, love it, love it.
So,
I don't know if you noticed in your graphic there, I got like a little bit of K2SO for you.
Nice. That is fantastic. K2, my favorite droid of all time. So I'm happy and glad to be here. This is exciting.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked to you since you had your young Jedi, so I'm pretty stoked.
He's in the next room, in fact. So, I'm trying to keep it down, but, he's a happy kid.
But the Force is strong with him, so.
The Force is extremely strong with him, in that he burped all over us earlier today. So,
oh, no.
Good for him.
All right. Well, next we have Greg Owinski, an award-winning writer for Stephen Colbert, Last Week Tonight, John Oliver, multiple episodes of Young Jedi Adventures, among others. Hi, Greg. Happy to have you.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Yeah, happy to be here. I have my 40th anniversary shirt, and I'm going from this directly to see Revenge of the Sith in theaters.
Ooh, oh, wow. All right.
Okay.
That might be something that's brought up later, so glad you're repping. I don't know. I got my Notorious GAT,
nice.
Had to give a little shout out to my old podcast friends. Miss them dearly.
Aw.
All right. And then we've got our dude, Pete. And
what's up?
And here's Nick. What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm wearing a generic Walmart Star Wars t-shirt with Darth Vader on it.
Well, if we're going to go through the fit, obviously I feel like I need to give my little props. The sport jacket I'm wearing, I wadded it up in a ball all day today because I was trying to pay a little bit of homage to the recently departed John Feinstein, who was a legendary sports writer. There's a great story. Tony Kornheiser is one of my heroes, and he talks about anytime they went somewhere and Feinstein needed to wear a sport coat, he would go to the back of his 1989 Honda Civic and pull a wadded up sport jacket out of the wheel well of his car and put it on. So I tried to make it look wrinkled in honor of Feinstein, but it may not read as wrinkled. But I'm here and I'm excited to hang out.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, and then just wanted to note real quick, our dude Chris is missing from tonight, but we will be missing him. In his
honor, I feel like I have to go, Pete.
Yeah, we were missing it.
It's the normal Chris greeting.
He is missed tonight, but we'll get him next week for sure.
All right, I don't know. You guys ready to go?
I'm ready. I don't even know what I know. I mean, so just so we're clear, Kelsey asked me before. She was like, "Do you want the questions?" I was like, "No, I don't even know what we're doing." So we're just flying blind on this, and this is going to be fantastic.
Well, I figured I was like, "You're a pro. Like, it feels like I'm giving you a 1-up if I give you the questions."
It's totally fine. What I'm saying is, I prefer it that way. So this should be good.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna take a quick break, but when we get back, we're doing our style of Around the Horn. All right, guys, let's go.
What's up, my fellow Gen X Star Wars fam? My name is Chris Rhines from Broaxium. You may know me from ATG's Force Connect that I co-hosted with Pete and Nick. Now, I'm the owner and operator of Broaxium Outpost, an online shop for all your action figure and collectibles needs like Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection, Transformers Studio Series, Star Wars Lightsabers and Helmets, Masters of the Universe, and much, much more, including Star Wars Action. Alright, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff, I'm just saying. Stop by and check out the store at www.broaxiumoutpost.com. Sign up to become a part of the Bounty Hunters Guild and stay updated on new pre-orders, sales, and exclusive Broaxium content. Find something you like? Use the promo code ATG10 for 10% off your first order. We have Star Wars figures, by the way.
Hear me?
There you go.
Hey.
You
Okay, so with our first question, I mean, Andor just came out on Tuesday. I mean, I know you guys all saw it way earlier than I did. That's okay. I'm not salty at all. But yeah, the first 3 episodes were released on Disney Plus. And after being touted as one of the best things Star Wars has done in a while, Clinton, what are your instant reactions to the first release of episodes?
My first reaction was, if this aired on actual television as a regular series, it could have legitimately garnered a TVMA ranking. Just from a topic standpoint, we're in a space now that is, and I say mature in a legitimate sense. There's always the people in the fan base who, for whatever reason, don't seem to understand what the name of the actual title of the actual series is, which is Star Wars, and war being a very important part of that. And all of these things surrounding what war really is are no longer just side pieces. It's unavoidable. It is the plot. And now that's something that people have to pay attention to. You can no longer just have, this idea that there's little boys running around with blasters and lightsabers trying to sort of save the universe. It's much more complicated than that.
What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen the whole series from beginning to end already, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that I know what's coming. And
I have to relax there, hotshot.
Okay, all right, okay. But that being said, this show is absolutely, as Clinton just said, it's so real. It changes. The show changes the way you look at Star Wars. It changes the way you look at A New Hope. You're going to look at Rogue One differently. You're not even going to be able to look at the prequels the same, because you are seeing this absolutely devastating part of the galactic timeline where the bad guys are just the worst and the good guys are fighting so hard just to get any upper hand. They're in a good spot.
Roger. What about you, Greg?
I mean, I think the thing I love about Andor is, it's about how people survive in a horrible moment in time as they know that things are slipping down, and how they are going to keep themselves up and also keep up whatever semblance of democracy is left. And because that's so much of where we are now and what I have to do in my own life, I had no time to watch the show and still haven't seen it because I was busy. Like living my life and building a go bag and, whatever. It's a great time to be a political comedian in America. But yeah, no, I mean, I know it's going to be good. Tony made it. It's, it's going to be great. I'm excited to watch it. I also am trying to catch my wife up on season 1, and now I'm trapped in a horrible space of I got to get 7 episodes of season 1 out of the way as episodes are coming out now. So I'm in a real Sarlacc pit right now.
Well said. That would have gotten extra points from me if I was hosting.
All right.
Roger.
Nick, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I echo what Pete and Clinton said, because I also got to see the whole thing. If we're gonna take our time to flex, but it delivered on everything that I expected it to be, because the first season was so good. One of our favorite drinking games on this show is we talk about the West Wing, or I talk about the West Wing. It's the Star Wars West Wing that I've been waiting for, because the writing is so good. It's the political machinations. It's all the things that, as you get older, like growing up with Star Wars in the 70s and 80s, I was like, ooh, lasers and fights and spaceships. Like, that's cool. And as I became adult and learned how the real world worked, it became more real. And we started to figure out, that taxation stuff in the prequels, there's something to it. And nowadays there's even more to it. So it becomes more real. So to have a series like this is terrifying in a way that is also entertaining, which is a very strange place to be in my life, because it feels very real world. First season, Andor's getting arrested on a beach just for being there. And now we've got people being arrested all the time just for being, and it's horrible. And we're continuing to see what this galaxy really was like under this Imperial regime. So you can't look away from it. I guess it's that train wreck, analogy. You can't stop looking at it, but it's phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's so well acted, and it's just great.
All right. So I'm guessing, this one, like, I have to throw to Greg since I know his plans right after. So Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith will be re-released in theaters starting tonight to celebrate its 20th anniversary. Greg, since you're going, what is the significance considering the initial backlash towards the prequel trilogy?
I think what's interesting to me is I remember convincing my parents. So 20 years ago, I'm 20 and I'm like, we got to go see it. And there's one screen in Phoenix that does digital projection and we have to drive 45 minutes away and go. And we walked out and my mom said, that was a bad movie. That was just straight up. My mom was like, I'm not interested. Don't care. And I just the hard smash if I had tried to build it up for them so much. And they were like, no, we don't care. And so
that's fun.
And I love so much of the prequels. And we talk on our Yub Nub podcast about buttressing. You build more things to make the old things better. And I think so much of the prequels has been lifted up and made interesting. And even with that, Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, I'm waiting for the fight at the end. That's like my son today was talking about it, and he's like, well, there's a good fight at the end. That's his summation of the movie, and I would say I agree. I'm excited to see that fight on the big screen.
Nice.
What about you, Nick?
So I'm one of those kids who was in college in the 90s when the prequels came out. I was a little bit snotty about the prequels for a good long time. That's not my Star Wars. I grew up with the OT. Grew out of that. Came back around to really enjoy and love those movies. But kind of like Greg said, it was the last 30 minutes of that movie that it clicked. And I went, oh, this feels like Star Wars. And there's that shot on the bridge of the Star Destroyer where he's walking on the catwalk and the people are working down below. And it was almost like the aesthetic switched. And it switched from the new and the shiny that the prequels were and the blue screens and the green screens. And all of a sudden I went, ooh, I'm in Star Wars. And it hit for me at that moment. And of course, the battle at the end. But the other thing for me with this movie is the joy I have found in it through my kids, watching the prequels with my kids. My oldest, she loves Revenge of the Sith. And when she heard this was coming out, she's like, that's the one I want to go to. Like, they don't really, Star Wars doesn't rank for them most of the time. But she's like, no, I want to do that. And she still does an Anakin cosplay of her own with the scar and the robe and the whole deal. So for me, like, this is the one that I'm most excited about if we're doing re-releases.
Clinton?
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to remember what state of mind I was in at the time, especially now that so many other things have happened in terms of like where the storyline was. But I remember thinking specifically, this was the one where the most actual story like happens. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think the main strength of episode 3 is. I mean, Order 66 alone was kind of the thing where you're like, yo, like, oh, okay, like this is taking a drastic turn to, for lack of a better term, the dark side. And I think that Anakin scar image, I mean, look, you guys talk sports as well as I do. Like Jackson Dart, a guy who's going to get drafted tonight, wears his eye black in a singular line on his eye because of that Anakin scar. Like the iconography in that film is not something that we can just kind of throw away. You were the chosen one, et cetera, et cetera. So that to me is sometimes if a movie isn't necessarily super sexy, at least you can follow a lot of stuff that went on. And it gets you through. And that's always what I remember about episode 3 is that you're just like, man, that was a lot. And I don't remember what was on my mind at the time, but looking back on it, that's still what sticks with me.
What about you, Pete?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna cloud a little bit again here. I got to go to the premiere in New York City, and my memory is having a drink with Frank Oz. I'm going for all the negative point here tonight.
I was gonna say this is you muted for the Stone Age on the show.
Take a cab home, you will.
But no, but I mean, look, it took me a while to get to a point where I love the prequels, and I'm absolutely there now. But of the prequels, this was the first one that I walked out of saying that was freaking cool. That was what I wanted to see in them. I still don't understand the Obi-Wan like just swinging the lightsabers at each other with not doing anything in the lava. But I honestly, it's of the prequels, it was my favorite for quite a while. So yeah, I'm going Sunday. I'm bringing my son. He's psyched. I'm ready to go. So
nice. All right. Well, I'm going to go with the next topic, and I'm going to go back to you since I've put you on negative points for all of your look at me, Louis.
I know.
Time to dig your way out of the hole.
I'm hoping this is something that I can get some
pouring
clout out
salt
of.
in the wound a little bit. You're like, yeah, I've seen the whole series already, and I got to go to all of these things. Like, I'm not going to be a nice commissioner.
I'm ready on this one. I'm ready on this one.
All right. So, as a woman and a huge Game of Thrones fan, two of the most exciting announcements for me at Celebration were Ryan Gosling, because of course, entering the galaxy, and then also Rory McCann, aka the Hound, taking over the late great Ray Stevenson's role of Balin Skull. Pete, which of these two announcements do you think is more interesting?
Honestly, for me, it's Rory McCann. I mean, Ryan Gosling is interesting. It's weird to me. It's weird to go with. Do
you want to lose 4 points?
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was a time when I met Ryan Gosling, but there is no time that I mean, I'm excited about. It's just weird though to have a Ryan Gosling level dude coming into Star Wars. The reason I'm excited about Rory McCann is, you know, when I saw Balin Skull and I saw Ray Stevenson, I said, finally, a guy that I can cosplay. Right, I can probably do that. And Rory McCann as the Hound. There was one year where I was this close to getting my daughter to be Arya Stark, and I was going to be the Hound, and we were going to be Halloween. We were going to go out and do that. So I figure it's a good kind of follow-on. I think I can still keep going with the Balin Skull sort of cosplay. I can't give up on that. But also, it's impossible to fill Ray Stevenson's shoes. He was so good in that role. I don't envy Rory McCann, but I think he's going to do a great job with it. And I was excited to see it. I think he's got, especially with that look that they showed us with the hair, and it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch.
What do you think, Greg?
I mean, here's why I think Gosling is the clear choice. I'm going to pull Clinton Yates and come in hot with my take. But like, it's clearly Ryan Gosling, and this is the reason that's deeply personal to me, which is Ryan Gosling in promoting this movie will be on SNL, and it super raises our chances of getting more SNL sketches about Star Wars. To me, that's deep.
Nice.
That's a bucket I keep in my heart at all times. So if we get a couple more undercover bosses or whatever with Ryan Gosling, I will be delighted.
So before I throw to Nick, I have to give you extra points there because his papyrus sketch, as someone who works in production and graphic designer, like, I mean, it spoke to me on like just at a soul level. So extra points. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I'm not going to step on the obvious winner here, which is Clinton's, the fact that he was wearing a Never Tell Me the Odds hat at Celebration. We'll let Clinton take that victory lap. But I will say, when we learned that Ray Stevenson died in that very first episode of Ahsoka, it was in the credits at the end of that first episode to our friend Ray. That character was so good, like Pete said, in the show. I love that character. It was one of my favorite parts of that Ahsoka series. So when we knew he was gone, the way it ended, we knew, there has to be a recast. So, of course, I did what everybody does and started irresponsibly trying to figure out, who are we going to recast? Who's it going to be? And everybody played the game. Rory McCann was not remotely on my bingo card, but when it was announced, it was like a light bulb went off. And I just went, holy crap, I'm so excited about that because I love Game of Thrones. The Hound is actually one of my favorite characters from that show, the arc and the journey he has. And I can't wait. Then I don't really know what else he's done. That's the thing I know him from. I'm sure he's been in other British things or whatever, but I'm so excited to see him pick up the mantle of Balin Skull and carry it forward. And I think it's going to be really great. So I'm excited.
Clinton, you want to bring us home with Never Tell Me the Odds?
Well, when I was talking to Genevieve O'Reilly on the red carpet for the Andor premiere last year, I'm kidding.
Okay.
That's a joke.
In your face, Pete.
That's a joke. No, but I think what I liked most about this, beyond obviously the hat by the way, sent certain group chats of mine into a complete uproar. Excuse me. And it was like, what is he doing with that hat? Where do we get them?
Yeah, where do you get one?
It was a whole thing. But I think the main thing I took away from this was not as much Gosling and not even as much any actor, as much as bringing video games into canon. Like, that's a big deal to me in terms of like the overall again, the storyboard element of this, it's like, oh, okay, like if we're making movies off of video games now, which is typically a very tough thing to do in Hollywood, you know that video game movies don't really do well, and like it depends on what it is. Like there was an era for a smooth 25 years where you couldn't make a movie about a video game that didn't absolutely suck, and the reason why people liked it is because it was so goofy. But this, to me, I mean, look, I got my man BD1 right here. You know what I'm saying? Like there are all sorts of things that we can do creatively if that's a route we're taking at this point. You know what I'm saying? And that to me was ultimately what the biggest deal was. Gosling is a nice bonus, don't get me wrong, but I love the fact because the video games, I think for some people, you know, are some of their best ends to the galaxy overall. So that was pioneering on just a basic production level for me.
I need a Knights of Terras Kasi miniseries now, just with one-on-one battles.
Exactly.
All right. Well, speaking of celebration, there was a myriad of artwork, announcements, merch, anything a fan from a galaxy far, far away could want. Nick, like what were like some of your favorite things from Celebration this year?
I'm gonna go with two specific things. One, the Taika Waititi movie is not dead. I want to know what Taika is going to do in Star Wars. I really kind of hope it's Dr. Aphra. It feels like it's got the, pirate. What's the pirate? Black Sails or what's the pirate movie he did on HBO? I completely blanked on it.
Our Flag Means Death.
Yeah, Our Flag Means Death. Yes, like that kind of vibe with Dr. Aphra and Taika doing it. Like that could be amazing.
But he did try to cast Padme.
Well, yeah. We're not getting into
I'm
details
just letting you know
here,
why I took points from you there.
That's fine. Totally fair. But honestly, and this is where I get into my super nerd zone, and Pete and I were just texting about this the other day. They announced at Celebration there is an ILM 50th anniversary book that is coming out. That's the 50th anniversary of the creation of ILM, and it's kind of like one of those big visual dictionary archive whatevers. And it's all about industrial light and magic, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that book. Like movies are great, shows are great. Give me those. I'll watch them when they're here. But I love that kind of stuff. The Lucasfilm Archives book, I still pull that thing out all the time and just flip through it. So to have a book that is a visual representation, we're watching Light and Magic Season 2 right now, which is also phenomenal. Yep, exactly. Clinton gets it. Yep. To have books of this kind of behind the scenes stuff that created the stories and the adventures and the journeys that I have cherished now for 47 years of my life is phenomenal. I'm pumped about that book.
What about you, Greg?
I mean, I think I'm contractually required to say that my favorite thing at Star Wars Celebration was the announcements of Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures Season 3 this fall, of which I wrote quite a few episodes. I would say, just to say a thing about Taika, I would love to be able to turn in a first act when I'm supposed to turn in a script. That seems very cool to be able to just go, no, here's this, Kathy. But Nick, I really hope he's not making Dr. Aphra, because there are other people who would really love to use their comedy writing skills to write Dr. Aphra that you might know.
Fair.
But the thing that was really cool that really emotionally hit me was there were all the different badges, and I saw people collecting badges at Celebration. We all know there's different types. There's the 2-day, the 3-day, the Friday, Saturday. The kids badge was a Japanese artwork style of our show, of the main character, who is one of the only black main characters in Star Wars, Kai Brightstar, and Nubs, the blue psychotic alien that we all love. And it was the two of them as samurai, and everyone at the show when it came out was texting each other, freaking out, and I loved it. And I have a big, version on my monitor, and I'm trying to get a poster printed of it because it was so cool for, I think, two reasons. One was like, oh, it's our show and it gets to look cool, but also realizing that once you put something into Star Wars, it's there forever. And I'm like, oh, this is this black kid who kicks ass, and he's just out there now for people to do art of and cosplay of and stories of. And so that really, really hit me. And I was like, I mean, there's so many things that were exciting, but to everything at Celebration, that was the one I'm going to hold the closest.
What do you think, Clinton?
Okay, I am going to name drop a situation now, but it's going to be relevant. When I got to go to Lucasfilm in San Francisco for the Ahsoka premiere, I remember thinking like, wow, there are so many people who take these kinds of events so seriously, to the point that like the whole battalion, the 501st or whatever, were all out there. All these people were out there with their modded out droids and stuff. And I thought to myself, I would go to more of these if I were invited to more or if they were closer. So when they announced that in 2027, the 50th anniversary one is coming to Los Angeles, I was like, hell yes, this is my moment on a certain level. I mean, that to me was the coolest part about it. I know that's kind of a cheat, you know what I mean? But like, I'm so looking forward to that event because I do think that there's something about LA specifically as well that is just different. You know, people are really into all of those different elements of costuming and lighting and all that. You are going to see a top tier cosplay situation when this bad boy comes out here to Southern California, because that's just what people do here. Never mind those who are going to come in town because they want to be in and around the Hollywood sort of energy. So yes, that to me was the biggest, coolest thing out of all of it. And by the way, Lucasfilm, they have a life-size K2SO, which is pretty cool. I was like, yo.
What are you going to be wearing, Clinton?
I don't know. I've genuinely thought about this. Like, how does the cosplay go? You know, there could, I don't know. I mean, that's genuinely, I thought to myself, might be my time to actually get into costume. So you
got a top Arda, like,
yeah,
he painted himself blue.
There will be no Grand Admiral Thrawn painted on me. But I do have a Jedi robe that I got at Galaxy's Edge, so that could come into play.
I've seen it. It's pretty cool.
You have, yes.
I'll be doing the Balin skull. I'll tell you right. You know, I look, I'm getting my butt kicked in the points here, so I'm just gonna be brutally honest. I think one of the best things about Star Wars Celebration was the fact that I didn't have to go, because we have so many friends in social media who were there, that kept us up to date and got us through all the announcements. And yes, of course, I'd love to be there. Nick and I met for the first time in person in Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and there's so many great things. I can't wait for LA. My son's already psyched to go. I'm psyched to go. We're definitely going to be there. But again, I think, you know, kudos to the Star Wars community who was there, who took this opportunity to be sort of the scouts for us and tell us what was going on and what we were missing. And yeah, was I jealous? Absolutely. I saw, just between the things people were eating to the things people were doing to just me, you know, just knowing who of our friends were there. It was exciting for them, and I'm excited that I was able to follow them. But I will be there in LA in 27, and I cannot wait for that. That's going to be fantastic.
We'll have to have some sort of a get together and like link up, you know,
for sure, 100%.
Well, and not only did Pete and I get to meet for the first time we were there, but I met Greg. We all hung out.
We got to hang
out with us a couple of nights.
Yeah,
we went to the Pink Milk after party one of the nights, and then we hung out on the back porch of the Hilton one night with Jason Fry, and you know, just sat around listening to people talk about Star Wars stuff, because that's what you do at a con.
Yeah.
Louis. All right, just for our last question here, May 4th is just around the corner, and there's plenty of events to attend, like just a lot of things you could see or do. Clinton, to round us out, how are you going to celebrate May 4th?
I think it's going to probably have to do with my son Keanu Jedi Yates. That's his name, literally. And we're probably going to have some sort of I don't know yet. We haven't really planned this yet because, you know, Mother's Day is soon after that, and it's both of our first child. So I'm guessing it will have to do with this kid in the other room who has all sorts of Star Wars clothes, because obviously everybody understood his baby shower was Star Wars themed as well. So there's a lot of that going on in this world right now. Absolutely.
What do you think, Nick?
If you don't cook up a batch of blue milk, if you don't roast a couple of, you know, wampas, you know, on your backyard barbecue pit, are you even really trying to May the 4th? I don't think you are. You can't go wrong throwing on a movie. At my house, it's basically like, hey, doesn't everybody want to go away so dad can watch Star Wars movies and not get people complaining about, really, you're doing that again? It's about the spirit of the day. I may not get to do anything fun, but I'll still know in my heart it's Star Wars Day, and all my friends out there in the internet will all celebrate. I'm sure I'll send an obnoxious amount of text messages to friends toasting Star Wars Day, but it will live in my heart and maybe, you know, in my hand in a cocktail at the same time.
Nice.
Pete, I'm gonna let you attempt to like limp your way to the finish line. Go
ahead. I'll be drinking the blue milk beers.
Wow. Okay. Another flex. That's pretty good.
I'll be ready with those. And yeah, I think, you know, it's on a Sunday, which is kind of nice. So I'll probably end up doing either one of my kids' games, and then hopefully coming home and just watching some Star Wars and hanging out. That's the way to go. I think maybe what I'll be doing is building one of the handful of Star Wars Legos that I have in the other room that have not left the box, much like your BD1 there, Clinton. I'm gonna have to take out like my X-Wing or my Vader helmet or something and just do something that way. That's the way to go for me.
What about you, Greg?
I mean, I think about it, Nick, Pete, we should, I guess the Yub Nub guys, we should all do a 24-hour on-camera marathon of watching the movies and
Let's
just
do
not
it.
sleep the whole time. I guess it feels like that's what we should do.
We could do
it. It would be perfect poetry for Potathon last year, which was on May the 4th. where we were with you.
Yeah.
And
we tried.
Yeah,
we tried to ruin your stream by shaming all your audience. Yeah, so I'll probably do that.
9/11, but whatever.
Or I guess I would like, I don't know, take a bunch of other people's movies and then like smash them together and call it my movie, or like kiss my sister and then just come back later and be like, sorry, I didn't know, it was weird. It's just I don't know. I mean, watch my Uncle Aunt get killed. There's so many things you could do for Star Wars Day that are fine. Torture your daughter with a robot droid. What?
Yeah, sure.
Have an Aunt barbecue.
It's a large menu of atrocities and horrors that you can just dip into for Star Wars Day.
It's got very dark, very quick.
I'll just put a tariff on all my children. What I'll do. I'll tax their trade routes to snacks. No. Battle droid's gonna stop you from getting those Pocky. Something like that.
All right. Well, to finish up our Around the Horn special, we have the showdown round. It looks like we've got Greg and Clinton in the lead, so it's just you two on this last question.
All right.
With a panel tonight full of diehard fans, people who work on it, some who have it permanently inked on their body, and then others who have named their kids after it. Like, how and why does Star Wars have a lasting impact on people? Go ahead, Clinton. Okay.
Who's going?
Oh yeah, I'll go. I mean, I think the thing is, Star Wars is, it's a long time ago. We say, and that lets us think about it as the past. And it's and so all of these myths and stories and archetypes that go from something as big as Luke's hero's journey down to like what we're seeing in Andor now, which is like, I'm in a horrible rebellion war. We get to get inspired, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is that now that Star Wars is so big and looks so different and is so different, there's all these situations where whether you think you're a Mon Mothma, or you think you're a Luke, or you think you're, a Wedge Antilles, or you're a Nubs, or you're an anyone, that in there is a place that no matter what you're going through, can look at and go like, there's hope. Hope is that central word of Star Wars. And as much as I love comedy and explosions and laser fights and, Yoda floating a lightsaber to his hand, or Anakin floating a pear into someone's mouth, the thing that I love is that you watch it and you go, oh man, if I have hope, maybe I can get through this. This might be where I am in my life. It might be where you are in your country or time or career or anything. But looking at these people who you're watching it be in this horrible moment, look up and go, whether they're in a trash compactor or on a desert planet, look up and say like, oh, I can get out of this. I think that emotional core is what makes everything else that we do in Star Wars worth it.
I'll build on that, and I'll say that this was my whole world when I was a kid. My parents were divorced. They used to yell and scream at each other all the time because they were having tough times, and I would just get stuck in the basement. And Star Wars was the world that made me feel like there was something outside of that situation that I could cling on to. It was very personal to me. And so by the time I got to high school and I got to volunteer at the Magic of the Myth, and, I want to thank Pete for sending me that book about Magic of the Myth at the exhibit at the Smithsonian Institution, I was enthralled. I got to connect to something that had meant so much to me in a way that I said to myself, well, there's no way I'm ever not going to love this. And I don't just mean in terms of like being obsessed with every character or anything like that, but this was the world I planted my flag in. That was the other world that wasn't the one I had to live in. And that's just never going to change. I mean, I think you can tell from how I've named my children to how I've lived my life. There's so many different facets of how a galaxy operates. And some people have different principles than others. And some people don't know what their principles are until they have to figure them out. And so there's a lot of different big brands that are out there in terms of how we produce storytelling in the world and in this country, but nothing comes close to Star Wars for me. And it hasn't since I was in 3rd grade.
Roger.
All right. Well, I mean, Of course, you had to tug at the heartstrings there. Go ahead and take your victory lap, Clinton.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I also just want to say thank you guys very much for showing honor to Around the Horn. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to do that show. And I know that I've got to meet so many people as a result of just being able to stick my mug on television and run my mouth about sports. But it's the friends you kind of make along the way. And I don't mean that in a lame way at all. And I've been able to I've been able to make Star Wars jokes on TV. I've been able to sort of spread this love for the galaxy as well on that program. And 23 years is a long time. I've gotten to be on it for 8, which is longer than I even realized at the time until they announced the end. So it's been a real honor. And thank you guys for watching and being fans.
Thank you, Clinton. We're so happy to have you. Missed you, buddy.
So what are you guys doing next? What happens next on the show?
I was just gonna say, Clinton, I've been listening to Around the Horn so long that I still think of you as one of the new guys.
Right, but like, dude,
I'm like,
I did the math, and I was like, bro, 8 years, like, wow, like, okay, and it kind of shocked me myself because I still almost do think of myself as a new guy as well because I've watched it ever since its inception too. So
yeah,
wow.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, what we do next is we're going to do, when we come back, we're going to do our toast. We always do a toast based on the month, and this is Dr. April. So we're going to do our toast, and we're going to open up the lines, and if anybody wants to call in and say hello, they can, and then we're going to wrap things up. So you're welcome to hang.
I'll hang around. Yeah.
Cool. Greg, I know you got a movie to catch, so we don't want to hold you up from that. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
See you later, Greg. It was nice meeting you.
Bye, Greg.
Bye.
Awesome having you here. But
Okay.
and congratulations on your second place finish. You'll get first next time. I think you can do it.
Thanks. Oh, it's killing me inside. Okay. Bye.
And so we will run a commercial, and when we come back, we'll be back with more ATG Live. Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. We did it a little bit differently tonight. Normally we do the news up front, but you know what? The best way to do news is to just throw it around the horn like that. That was a lot of fun. Clinton, thanks for doing that. And again, man, what a run, what a show, it's so how many different hosts have run through that thing? I mean, it's been.
So I'll tell you, when I got on the show in 2017 and it had already been on for 20 years, right. I think I was what's the number? I was like the 30th ever panelist. Like the number was surprisingly low. I was like, whoa. Like I was stunned. And that even included people that had done like one-offs. So the real number was closer to like 21 or 22. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, this is crazy. And so it's quite the fraternity to be a part of, and I'm just sort of using that term loosely, but yeah, it's pretty incredible when you look back at all the stats and all the numbers. I will say this quickly. I got a chance to I faced Kalishaw in face-off like a week ago or whatever, and I beat him, and it broke like a 13-13 tie. So like, I don't know that he'll ever get another chance because we might not get on again together before the show.
Do you have a favorite moment from the 8 years you were on? I mean, you go
honestly, probably it was. I mean, all the Halloween moments are the ones that stick out because Halloween is such a television holiday. And in fact, Kalishaw, I did my second Halloween with, where he was Billy Ray Cyrus and I was Lil Nas X, and we were like both in the shot. You know what I'm saying? We had cowboy hats and whatever, Old Town Road, all that deal. So that was pretty cool. And last year I got to be emo Jimmy Butler. Not last year, 2 years ago, when Jimmy Butler showed up to that press conference with his hair like laid and his and I made emo song references the whole time, which actually I got robbed in that show because that was an on point day for me regarding all sorts of emo lyrics from the 2000s. But no, I'm kidding. It was that the Halloween ones always stick out.
That's great. Cool. Nick, why don't we I'm gonna put the chat up, and I'll put the link in the chat for people who want to call in. I think we have a voicemail too, but Nick, why don't you lead us through our toast as you do?
I am going to lead us through our toast, and just to give the quickest explanation for Clinton, we do a thing on the show. It started a couple years ago in the month of October with Snoketoberfest, and the way it works is you pour a beer, you put your Snoke figurine in the beer, and you have to drink it in the 10 seconds where he does that speech from Rise of Skywalker where he says, "I've been every voice inside your head." Dumb drinking games, because why not? Well, we had so much fun with it that then Snoketoberfest became Snokevember. Then it became Darth Simber. Then the month of January brought us to Jan Dodanuary.
Okay.
February was Boba Fettuary. We had Imperial March last month. And now, of course, in the month of April, we are at Dr. Afrel, honoring everybody's favorite character, Dr. Afra. So I have my beer poured up. I have my figure that's going to go in. We have our audio clip we're going to hit in just a second. But this toast this week, and I'm going to embarrass the man just a tiny, tiny bit. This is a toast to my good friend and all of ours, Pete Fletzer. Pete worked so hard for this show. He does a lot of things behind the scenes over the course of the last year or so. He was in a transitional work situation and starts an exciting new job on Monday, which we are all thrilled for him about.
Yes,
but
sir.
I just want to say ATGLive, the SSW network, would not be what it is without the hard work that you have put in over this time. And I'm so thrilled that because of this dumb Star Wars podcast, I've gotten to meet one of my best friends. So
awesome.
Tonight, our Dr. Afrel toast is to you, my friend. So if you will hit that drop, happy Dr. Afrel.
I will. Thank you very much, man. Here we go.
Lasers, explosions, things that go pew pew. And right in the middle of it all, our intrepid heroine. That's me. Dr. Chelly Lona Afra.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you.
Kelsey, you all right over there?
No. It's very difficult to drink from a porg. Like I don't know, like
with a Chelly Afra up on top.
Yeah, no, she blocks the view a little bit. It's a lot.
I'm gonna put this in the chat here.
I just did it.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yep, I beat you to it.
Say hello.
Real quick, Clinton.
Yeah.
Tell us about Clinton and Friends. It's a newer venture that you've got going on. But and if anybody wants to know how genuine Clinton Star Wars fandom is, first of all, again, Keanu Jedi Yates. What are we talking about here? Last Friday on his national ESPN talk show, it was all Star Wars themed. He was rocking the shirt. He had his helmet on air. I got to call in and ask him and Ryan a dumb question about retiring jerseys. This man is the real deal. But Clinton Friends is a great show, and I would love for you to tell everybody that's watching about it.
Thank you. So while I was on paternity leave, I was lucky enough to be selected to replace Mike Greenberg on sort of middays, which are effectively mornings here on ESPN radio nationally. And it's cool for a couple reasons. Number one, obviously doing a national radio show when you're a radiophile like me is just, it's a dream come true. Let's be honest here. And secondly, it's also the local show in LA. So I still got to keep my LA connections in terms of how long I've been out here and been able to kind of pop back and forth between those two sides of the market. So when we get to do goofy stuff, we take it all the way. And because it was the day of Star Wars Celebration, my man Rafa has a Rebel helmet. And so I went downstairs and got it. And we were just goofing off. Devin was wearing a random football helmet, and Matt Lag had a hockey helmet on. So, I think for me, radio is just about, it's like this, you talk with your friends, you try to, entertain people and, help folks pass the time in a way that's going to be informative and also quite fun. And that's really what it comes down to me. It's not just about me yapping off with takes or whatever. It's about making sure that everybody feels like they're part of the community. And that's something I take a lot of pride in.
It is a fun show. And I think, that's funny. There's like so many different types. I listen to local Philly sports talk radio, and I'm not as somebody who's not an Eagles fan. That is really, really hard. But as a Phillies fan, I can tell you, it's the moment the Phillies start to shit the bed like they have been the last couple of weeks. It's they turn on them. But what I love about your show, and I listen to it through SiriusXM, because you can get it through SiriusXM app, you can get it through ESPN radio app, you can get it wherever you're broadcasting it.
Yeah.
But like you said, Clinton, if your objective is what you just said, you're nailing it. It just sounds like a bunch of guys just hanging out, talking about fun sports stuff, and you keep it fun, which is awesome. Yeah. So
I appreciate that. So it's been a good time. Thank you for asking.
That's right. Well, and I don't want to one-up Pete here, but when you're talking about local Philly sports radio, I've spent I moved to Alabama when I was 10, so the last 36 years of my life in the environment that is nothing but Paul Feinbaum and Alabama and Auburn fine call. It's the most horrible. And as an Auburn fan, like, it's never fun. But yeah, you want to go local sports radio, like, and before he went to ESPN, like, it was 100 times worse. Like, it was the most like dirtbag Alabama fans calling in. It was crazy.
Hold on, just like when you're saying like local sports, like it just like it makes me think of Mark and McGee. Like just one of my favorite things ever.
Mark and McGee was a moment. Okay, so Mark, for those who don't know what Mark and McGee is, so a couple years ago they came out here to cover some F1 thing, and I remember it was. I mean, we might have still been during the pandemic, actually, because I was in my old apartment now that I think about it. And it was on like some roof deck deal where they were there and a bunch of other people were covering. We ended up we had dinner the night before. So I've been hanging out with them. So I got up.
He's talking about Marty Smith and
and Ryan McGee.
And Ryan.
And so I my bad, pardon me. And so I got up to watch them on TV. And so I'm watching it. And this reporter on a station I'm not going to name, but I will, KTLA, goes over and she's just like, hey, this is Mark and McGee from ESPN. And like and Ryan, bless his heart, did not break a sweat and answered the question. And he said, Mark, what do you think? And just referred to Marty as Mark. And it was so funny. And I recorded, and you have to understand, this happened at some random live segment in the middle of the morning that nobody was going to be able to see. I rewound it and recorded it so that I could send it to them. And they were like, oh my God, you saw that. I was like, yes, I saw it. And yes, it was hilarious. So that
Ryan's a beauty. Love him.
It was an unbelievable
it's classic
local TV.
Amazing.
Local TV moment. Yeah.
Well, before we get to our caller, I do happen to just have this sitting on my desk, and this is very specific to Clinton. Sitting on my desk is my 100th anniversary McCormick Field anniversary baseball that I picked up last summer on my first visit to McCormick Field. And you have possibly my favorite quote about McCormick Field that I've ever heard anybody say.
What's that? The fictional home, the end of the career, the fictional home of Crash Davis? It's my favorite ballpark in America. That's why.
Yes, but it was also something to the effect of any woman you were ever potentially going to marry had to go to McCormick Field before.
That's true. I sort of forgot about that, but yes, I have been to McCormick Field with quite a few guests, if you will, over the course of the years. So.
It sits on my desk proudly because I love Asheville and the tourists.
Ryan McGee, who was an intern for the Asheville Tourists for a long time, summer.
Got the book right here.
Nice.
Well, we have I think we have a voicemail, Nick, and I haven't heard it yet, so let's just hope for the best.
Yeah, that always goes great.
It's from friend of the show, Jeff Quaglio, and he texted me to tell me, hey, I called and left a voicemail about Andor, and he also made it a point to say, I may have rambled. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's we are going to cut it short because it is a little long, and I can, been working with Kelsey now for a couple weeks, and I know going live with something like this is a little scary. So let's see what happens. Can you hear him?
Not yet. Nope.
I can't. No.
I gotta.
Men and technology.
I got to remove.
We can vamp until.
There we go.
I don't know y'all show starts in a few minutes. Actually, it starts in an hour, so I think we need to get
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to start off saying love you guys. Miss y'all. Miss the Thursday night interactions. I hate that the show I joined coincides exactly at the same time. It's a bummer. I hate that I missed the live stuff. Try to catch up. Post when I can, but I missed the live interactions. Anyway, so for Andor season 2, really enjoyed the 3 episodes. Didn't think I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about they're dropping 3, in one night. But y'all are right. It felt like a movie. There's going to be an edit, like you say, where they just clip out the credits and let it run straight through.
To the point.
Love
my brother.
The way it was shot. The acting in Andor, I think, is what separates it from the other Star Wars shows. The performances of the actors in this show are on another level compared to really any of the other shows recently. There have been standout performances in some of those shows individually, but as a whole, the cast of this show is
Is
amazing.
there a question
I
in here?
loved the scene where it was jumping back and forth,
Whoops.
almost like she was on ecstasy at this rave. Like she'd hit the.
Well, all right, let's talk about Andor for a second. And Jeff, we love you, buddy. We love you, but 3 minutes is
I know that feeling. Sometimes the callers go a little long, and you're like, all right, buddy, wrap it up. Yeah.
All right, so let's throw the question out there. Let's do it this way. Is it the best Star Wars since Go? Nick.
Okay.
Or Clinton. Go ahead.
Oh.
It's okay. Go ahead, Nick.
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go. I believe it is. I believe it's the best. Gosh, this is such an unfair question. It's the best Disney Star Wars TV show.
Okay.
I love Star Wars Rebels, and I go on and on and on to an obnoxious level about how good I think Rebels is. I think this is right up there. It's a different thing, so obviously it's going to hit a different way. Movies are a different category. I love The Last Jedi in a way that's very hard to describe to most everybody. This show is top notch. There's no question about it. I have tiny nitpicks, but they're not the same nitpicks I have with Book of Boba Fett or Ahsoka or something else, all of which I love. Those are nitpicks out of love, but it's phenomenal. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think what I was going to say is, and not to sort of abuse the premise of the question, but like I'm at a phase now where I don't know that best Star Wars since is something I can think about, and mainly because this show exists. You know what I'm saying? Like this show just completely kind of changed, I think, what I was wanting and what I thought I needed. I mean, I remember just watching the recap. I was emotional. I was like, oh, right. And so by the time, you get to, the end of the first 3 episodes, it's like, and I, not really giving anything away here, but like by the time we got to the end, I had to like kind of stop watching it for a while. And I was like, this is like affecting my mood, in ways that I can't control. And so that to me is not something I normally voluntarily put myself in position wise when I'm trying to be entertained, but I'm willing to do it for Andor. And that's something that I can't describe that for anything else. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else that gets me to that place. But this show has done that, and it's done that in a way that I think wasn't just ham-handed either. You have to pay attention because, the connectivity is really what all this is about. So it's not just quite a riddle. It's not just a reveal. It's kind of all of that. And I think it's brilliant. I agree with Nick. It's fascinating on a level that I'm not sure. If I'm being quite frank, I'm not sure Star Wars fans who don't consider themselves intelligent people will necessarily latch onto. You know what I mean? This is a smart person show, and I think that there's no shame in that. You know what I'm saying? Not everything has to be lowest common denominator for the masses, and then Andor definitely isn't.
Yeah, Kelsey, how do you feel about Andor as a show?
Man, you're putting me on the spot. I mean, I love. I really love the first season. I think we kind of offlined about this, about like the first 3 episodes. I was all in until about 26 minutes into the third. And they just went ahead and sucked the fun out of it for me. But I don't know. It's a show that they're trying to do stuff that is bigger than what Star Wars normally attacks, and I think it was very difficult for them to go at a basically a topic that affects me very personally. So the show, I think just in the second season has taken a kind of weird tone for me, but I'm guessing that's not gonna go past.
You'll be fine with 4, 5, 6. You'll be I mean, you'll be depressed for other reasons. It's
but I was all right, there was no reason to bring something like that into Star Wars. Literally my biggest escape from reality, Star Wars, and that's rough.
Okay, that's interesting.
Interesting. I mean, to me, I think Clinton,
I don't know,
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that listen, I'm not obviously coming from the standpoint that you come from regarding this in a personal level or on obviously me being a man, but like it felt very story appropriate to me considering what was actually going on within the context of the narrative, you know?
Here's the thing though, they've never shied away from showing that the galaxy takes advantage of women. Like you see sex slaves, you see like prostitutes, basically, like stuff like that. It's not like overt, but like you see it happening. You know that the Empire is like brutalizing people in every single way. Like I don't know that like I don't know, like women, like I mean half of the population of the Earth like were marginalized. Like I mean it just like the way that we get treated is less than men, and so there was no reason to bring like something that is very harmful to most women into the galaxy far, far away.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I'm sorry that was your experience. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it certainly is it's a different direction for Star Wars for sure. So, but yeah, no, I think if the way I will look at this and sort of bring it back around is from a pure production value, from a storytelling perspective. This show is it's second to none. And the other thing, based on what you were saying, Clinton, I think Skeleton Crew and this show both do a great job of planting seeds and actually delivering on them. Right. A lot of shows will, they'll throw something out there and they'll either say we'll pick it up in the comic book or whatever. This show and Skeleton Crew, I thought, did a great job of, they were a little more overt because it was a younger audience, but it was, a great job of leaving a breadcrumb here that gets picked up there. So yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well,
I got to jump, gang.
All right, dude.
I appreciate you. It is great to see everybody again. And Nick, feel free to call the show again and whatever you like, and everybody for that matter.
Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. I'll see you.
All right,
thanks,
thank you very much.
Ciao.
Good to see you, bud.
You too.
Okay, well, cool. Let's hit our caller, and then we're gonna call it a night. It's been a good night here, and here we go.
Hello, what have we here?
There he is, and Eric, before anybody gets upset, we didn't know he was going to leave before you were coming on. We didn't know. But you can give him your rap name, and we'll make sure he gets it. We'll make sure he gets it.
I don't care. Hopefully no one threatens the idea of force choking me, because that was not pleasant. Yeah, I don't think I'll deserve it. But anyway, I have a conspiracy.
Okay.
Are you listening? My conspiracy is that the Legends continuity and the canon continuity isn't technically a reboot. It is a inflection point where it's the start of a new timeline. Much like how in Crisis of Infinite Earths, it goes from a different continuity to the next one because there was an event that happens. It's not like we're transported to another universe. Like the Legends and the canon universe are technically the same universe. They're just reborn.
So they exist sort of like parallel?
Well, it's kind of like how if you buy green onion at the grocery store and you put it back in water after you chopped it and it starts growing back.
Okay. That's
what I'm saying is like what's happening. And the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy are acting as something you might have heard of in the Spider-Verse franchise as canon events, where those things have to happen.
Okay.
But the details about it are a bit skewed. Like the other information that we know about Dooku and Yaddle happening at the same time as the prequel trilogy, like that's changed, and the way Yaddle died is obviously changed. That's obviously a prequel character, and she has to be in that movie. But the tapestry is changed itself.
I like that. All right, I'll buy that. I would definitely buy that. That's very cool.
Yeah,
I like that thought.
So,
and what action figure?
I'm not on my bed at the time, but
no,
the bed's over there. It exists.
Good. I want to know though, before we let you go, what was the action figure you were holding in your hand?
I got my boy, Cousin Joe. Someone. This is the character that I think in my tri-state area I care the most about.
Okay. Nice.
Love it.
I will say before we let him go, thank you for standing up today.
Honestly,
I'm happy to see you again, even though the last call wasn't as positive. And
everybody's moving on.
I do see your point about, like, you feel like there was no reason to put those dark elements into Andor. I don't see it the same way. Like, obviously, I know I'm in a different position. I'm a different type of person. I have different experience.
Hey, buddy, you've never been raped. No.
That's what he's saying.
No worries,
That's it. That's it.
That's what he's saying.
But I know I haven't. I know I haven't. But I do think there is a narrative reason for doing it. Like, it truly shows to the audience something that we can make parallels to it, and that's always what Star Wars does. Like, I don't begrudge you for, like, I don't want to see that. Like, it's all, especially when it's something like this serious and this detrimental to mankind. Like, I'm not someone that ever takes glee in the idea of this happening. Like, I know too many personal stories of people come up to me and like, I hear about it and I weep for them, and it's debilitating. So I never want to make it seem like I'm trying to make light of this.
Well, we definitely appreciate that, man. So, well, Eric, hopefully we'll see you again next week. And
check out Honest to Claude Offshore Part 3
coming soon. All right,
no, it's out.
Okay, we'll go check it out.
I did the laser eyes.
All right, man.
The laser eyes.
Nice.
Well, I did not adjust the camera, and now we're back to being here, guys. This was I have to say this around the horn. They should make that a real show. That worked out really
kind of good. Kind of worked.
That was fun.
Yeah, it's almost
maybe
like that format works. A little crazy. Yeah, wow.
Maybe onto something.
So I think we're onto something.
Well, hey, we are around the galaxy, so we can make this work. So, but Kelsey, thanks for hosting it tonight for us, and thanks to Clinton, and thanks for Greg for hanging out with us tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks to Woody over here. Like, look at this dude.
Hey, we got him.
In case no one noticed, his little Easter egg back there.
He was doing all right.
The other one was Bespin was an inside job. That's okay. But listen to Clinton Friends on ESPN. You'll be glad you did.
There you go. And listen to Road to Rebellion wherever you find podcasts, wherever you find the Around the Galaxy podcast. We take a look at all 3 episodes from the week. This week we'll be looking at episodes 4, 5, and 6. And we will be bringing you that the moment the show drops on Disney Plus. Kelsey, anything to add? Anything? We're good. We'll see you next week, right?
I don't know, maybe. No,
all right, well, I'll take it. Hey, that's as much of a commitment as I need.
Let's go.
Good. And Nick, may the force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.